Hello everyone and welcome to France 24 RFI. We were headed to Catalonia, a region in Spain where things have been heating up since one man called for a referendum to decide on self-determination. It will be held on October 1st. Madrid considers this referendum to be illegal, and this man is our guest today, Carles Puigdemont. Hello, you are the president of Catalonia. Hello, Mr. Puigdemont. You are live. You are live from the seat of the Catalan government, the Generalitat, in Barcelona. You were born in 1962 in a family of 8 children. You are a former journalist. You were mayor of Girona from 2011 to 2016. And then you succeeded Arthur Mas in January 2016 as president of the Generalitat after he stepped down because of questionable business dealings. You became president thanks to a last-minute coalition between an independence party and a small anti-capitalist party. This is a tenuous coalition that is the result of regional elections in 2015. Last June, you decided to hold this referendum asking the question, do you want Catalonia to be an independent state as a republic? Tensions have been escalating this week, especially between the central government and the autonomous executive branch in Catalonia as the date approaches. We have seen arrests and seizures. So why don't you just call off the referendum that is pouring oil on the fire?
Well, actually, what you need to recall is that we have a clear mandate from our voters. Following the last regional elections, there was a large majority of people who are in favor of the independence of Catalonia, and an even larger majority in favor of a decision on independence being taken by referendum. So this is not something we can cancel. We can't say no to what has already been approved by the citizens. They've voted on this, they've decided on this through the ballot box, so we don't have the right to cancel it.
At one point, Mr. Puigdemont, you talked about Spain carrying out a coup d'etat, but the Spanish people say that they are within their rights, at least legally. That is what the head of the Spanish government said when he addressed the parliament. He said that police were merely acting on the orders of a judge.
No. In fact, there was not a decision of a judge, nor indeed to intervene as regards the budget of the Generalitat. No decision by the Spanish Parliament to act de facto as if it were a state of exception. We can't meet, we can't discuss the issues, we can't hold meetings. Nor can we take decisions as regards the debate on independence. So there is a de facto state of exception, but there's been no decree, no debate in the Spanish Parliament that authorizes the Spanish authorities to act in this way. They don't have the right. They haven't put the question to the Spanish Parliament to invoke the Article 155 of the Constitution, which gives the power to intervene in the affairs of an autonomous state. They haven't put that question to the Parliament. So they're acting, what they're doing is illegal. This is a unique situation. Well, you've raised the question of legality.
You question legality, but another issue is
what you're doing wise
really a good
politically?
political idea?
Do you think that Mr. Rajoy,
are these actions a good idea?
head of the Spanish government, do you think he's wrong?
Rajoy, as the head of the Spanish government, is making a mistake. Do you think that the Catalans, who are on the fence regarding independence, are going to backlash against Madrid?
Well, this is a political subject. It's a political problem, and therefore it requires a political solution. This is not something to be solved by judges, by the police, by the media, or by businessmen. Why has Mr. Rajoy refused to do his duty, to authorize a political discussion to recognize that there is a major political problem. And if there aren't political discussions, if you don't have a political dialogue to look for a political solution, it'll be impossible to progress. We've seen that the government is unable to deal with this serious political crisis.
Mr. Puigdemont, in your opinion, what could reopen the lines of communication? What could lead you to speak once again with the Spanish authorities?
Well, to agree to hold discussions. We have committed on many occasions to sit down and talk, provided that this real problem is recognized. Namely, the majority of Catalans don't agree on the nature of the relationship between Catalonia and Spain. We need a new relationship. The Catalans want a new relationship to improve this relationship with Spain and to do this on the basis of an independent state. But we're prepared to listen to what Spain has to propose. But when I have consulted Spanish leaders, including the Prime Minister, Rajoy, when I say, do you have a proposal so that we can hold discussions, he's always said, no. We have to work on the basis of the status quo, but the status quo is not working. And so if there isn't a decision by the Catalan population, we won't be able to get out of this.
As president of the Catalan government, aren't you afraid of being responsible for any escalation of violence, since we are seeing a radicalization of positions?
No. The Catalan party has shown, ever since 2012 at least, that it's capable of organizing a festival on the 11th of September every year of more than 1 million people. There have been no incidents. Last 11th of September, we had this celebration. There were no incidents. The Catalan party has always been committed to non-violence and to peace, to the very idea of peace. This is something that's deeply rooted in our culture. So the Catalan party will never promote violence. There's been provocation. The military police have entered different ministries to search for documents.
Seizures.
But the reaction of the people in the street has always been peaceful. They're in favor of dialogue. You've seen people singing. So there's no possibility of violence from the Catalan people.
As we said, the Catalan people are quite divided over the issue of independence. Those that are against it and want to remain in Spain have chosen to abstention. They will not go to the polling station. That is the directive that has been given. So only those in favor will go to vote. So this may turn to be a quite low turnout if you decide to go ahead with the referendum on October 1st.
Well, we'll see what happens. The last time there was an election, it was a popular consultation. In 2015, there were 2 million who voted in favor of independence and 1,600,000 who voted against independence. So there is a significant gap between those in favor and those against. But you're right, we don't know exactly what percentage is in favor of independence or who wants to remain in Spain. So the only way to find this out is to vote. So what's the problem?
Mr. Puigdemont, why are you holding another referendum, since you already had one? And, by the way, it also had a low turnout at the time, so why do it again? Is it because you want more legitimacy this time? Do you want more participation? This was back in November 2014. It seems like the same thing all over again.
Yes, but it was a non-binding consultation. It was not official.
This one is also considered to be illegal.
Well, I'm not talking about whether it's legal or illegal, but the consultation of 2014 was not organized in order to take decisions, but this one is. It will have practical effects. The Catalan Parliament approved the organization of this referendum, and now you have a government which has a large pro-independence majority. This was not the case in 2014. The government was not elected on a pro-independence program. It's our government that was elected to.
You don't have much support from your partners at the European Union. High-level representatives maintain that, according to European Union treaties, you would have to leave the EU if you declared independence, which is problematic.
Yes. It's rather difficult to fathom this. How can you explain that 7.5 million European citizens are going to be thrown out of the EU? I mean, that's hard to believe. There's only one possibility for Catalonia to be outside the EU. This would be for Spain to recognize the independence, recognize a Catalan state. On that basis, we would be a third-party state. We would have to make an application to join. If Spain recognizes Catalonia's independence, it's obviously that we would not be outside the logic of Europe. But there's something else I'd like to add. We are an active member of the European Union, and we want to stay within the European Union. This is in the interest of Europe, of Catalonia and Spain. For Catalonia, which represents our economy, our culture, for Catalonia to continue to contribute to the development of the European project, as we're doing now.
People from the European Union says that according to the strictest European Union treaties that you would be immediately excluded and you would have to reapply. And so, you're not on very good terms with Madrid when you talk about independence, or that's a far cry.
Well, I think what we have to state clearly is that the European Commission has never taken an official position on this subject. There have been spokesmen who've spoken, but there's never been an official position.
Jean-Claude Juncker himself said that he's honestly not very supportive of the initiative.
Well, he never said it was impossible. In any case, Mr. Juncker has his opinion, but it's the European Commission that has to define their position. Is there an official position of the European Commission? No, there isn't. So ask the European Commission what will happen if Catalonia becomes independent. Is it in the interests of Europe to turn its back on Catalonia, considering everything that Catalonia contributes to Europe?
So you think that Catalonia that's not in the EU is not in its best interest? 3/4 of Catalan production is destined for the EU market. You would face trade barriers if you were to leave, so it's not economically viable.
It's obvious that Catalonia would be outside Europe, but it can't be outside of Europe, because if the Spanish state doesn't recognize Catalonia's independence at the beginning, there would be a problem. If Spain recognizes Catalonia as independent, it's because there will have been negotiations and agreements. It's only logical. If you have recognition by Spain of a Catalan state, it'll be that we have actually reached agreement on the most sensitive subjects. We are involved. We share interests. So what would be the point of this sort of a vengeful action to throw such a powerful entity out of Europe?
Mr. Puigdemont, you still seem to be focused on recognition from Madrid, that they will recognize your consultation, but Madrid wants to absolutely prevent this from happening.
Well, the door will be open right up to the last minute. If the Spanish politicians have any common sense, they will grant Catalonia's independence. This is what everyone prefers. Everybody wants to be able to vote on this issue. So what's the problem? What is the crime? We're trying to solve these problems on the basis of a popular consultation. What's the problem? Why will the Spanish government not even agree to talk about this? I mean, granting independence may be another issue, but they don't even agree to discuss the matter, and it's obviously it's very important.
But you must make a distinction between a majority who want to hold a referendum, but some people who want a more legally binding referendum, and those in your region who are very divided between those who want independence and those who don't. Remember, we all know those horrible terrorist attacks that killed 16 people in Barcelona in April, and at the time, Mariano Rajoy spoke of the importance of sharing information at the highest level to fight against terrorism. Do you think this is the moment for retrenchment?
Well, it's surprising that Mariano Rajoy said that, because we're the ones who asked for cooperation. We have 70,000 officials in action here in Catalonia. Sharing information. We've asked that they can be members of Europol, because this is where information is exchanged between police services and where intelligence is exchanged. But Spain has always prohibited Catalonia from participating. No problem on the part of other European authorities. Obviously, we want to share intelligence, but unfortunately, the only source of intelligence that is available to us is that of the central intelligence authorities of Spain.
So, Mr. Puigdemont, would you say that confidence with the government in Madrid has been broken?
Well, obviously, because the Spanish government doesn't even recognize the Catalan government. And the way the Spanish government is acting against the Catalan government, it seems that they don't accept the results of the referendum in September 2015, which gives us the legitimacy to govern the country.
I wanted to speak of football quickly because the FC Barcelona condemned the arrest, but don't you think that there's an overlap between football and politics? It's dangerous?
Well, I don't think it's a question of politics. It's a question of the dignity of the people. We're not talking about political parties here. It's a question of democracy. The Barcelona Football Club has always been on the side of the people in general, even during the Franco dictatorship. Football and the Barcelona Football Club was the only place practically where you could invoke the Catalan identity. So the football club has never taken sides. It's really a question of democracy, dignity. It's not supporting this party or that party.
But Barca is actually for a legal referendum. They condemned the arrests, but they want a legal referendum.
Yeah, we too. We're in favor of a legal referendum. Ask the Spanish government why it's not possible to hold a legal referendum in Catalonia. It's not because of the Catalan position. We have approved a Catalan motion for the Parliament, and I would repeat that this is our priority. But if the Spanish government does not agree to discuss these subjects, we can't say to Catalan citizens who voted for the Catalan government, well, we'll just forget it and we'll just go back to what the Madrid government wants to do.
Thank you for being our guest, Mr. Puigdemont, for being our guest during this very tense week, and thank you to our audience for watching. Stay tuned for more information.